God forbid you just stop the car until the track is definitely clear. I mean,
when have you seen a hurricane in Texas? Well, it happened that day.
What's all-star about having every driver? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Good guy, ass. Good guy, can't drive a race car. Sorry.
You're listening to the Foreign Fuel Podcast.
hello everyone, welcome back to the Foreign Fuel Podcast. I'm your host, Dom Caplupo, and I'm joined by Steve Ray, Wesley Riddle, and Sam Dooley. We're here for a Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas preview, race number 5 of the NASCAR Cup Series season. Steve, 4 races down, race number 5 this week, Steve.
Yeah, were you about to say 5 to go? 4 down, 5 to go. Oh, yeah. Man. Well, if that's the case, then we are ending the season very early. No, Las Vegas, good track, especially, the first race of the season on the 1.5 mile with the next gen car. Expect to see good racing there. Las Vegas has been putting on a pretty solid performance the last handful of times that we've been there. So I'm looking forward to it. Las Vegas, that's one of the tracks on my bucket list. I'm jealous that you guys got to go a handful of years ago now, because Vegas just seems like a fun place to gamble, fun place to lose a whole lot of money. And so I hope to get there one day for sure.
Well, if you do the big wheel right, you don't lose money. You come out a winner. And Sam, you weren't here for the post race of Phoenix, but we all collectively made Joey Logano your dummy of the week. And you didn't get to defend yourself, but it's a pretty good track for Logano. He is the all-time wins leader at this racetrack.
Yeah, I didn't get to defend myself in this past episode, but I mean, there's not really much grounds that I could defend myself on. In my opinion, my fan opinion, I should say. My fan opinion is that it's not his fault, but my brain knows it is. So, it's just move on. You dumped a whole bunch of cars. Not the first time he'll do it, not the last time he'll do it. So, keep on rolling. You're right. This is a great track for Joey, and it's a great track for a couple of guys. Like Josh Berry, I believe he won this race last year, early in the season. That kind of got us excited. That's another like Penske-ish car. They're a Penske car when they do well. They're a Wood Brothers car when they do poorly. Some guys like that, maybe looking for some guys that don't have many wins. Kind of an upset track. But it's a really fun track. It's kind of where the interesting races for me start, because Phoenix. I didn't hate Phoenix, but it was all right. It was Phoenix. It's kind of what you come to expect. It was above average for a Phoenix race, I'd say. Had some action, and road course and a couple of super speedways. So now we're kind of getting into the 1.5 mile meat of the schedule, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Absolutely. And Wes, when we go to Vegas, I love talking Vegas. Just brings back some good memories there. I don't know how you feel, but I always get kind of a little more giddy for a Vegas preview.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I really want to go back. It was just such a good trip. I feel like, overall for me, that was definitely one of the best weekends I've had, or not even just the weekend, but one of the best weeks I feel like I've ever had. So wanting to plan a trip to go back, but I get excited for Vegas. It's a fun track. I think that this race is always pretty exciting. I feel like for 1.5 mile standards, we don't get as many cautions at Vegas, but I think still makes for an exciting race every time that we go back. Just a lot of different lines you can take. I feel like kind of the widest groove track in a sense to where you can rim ride or you can ride the bottom, and you don't know which lane's going to be more preferred, but people can make it work no matter what lane they choose, depending on what lane they want to ride in. So it's going to make for an exciting race. Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's the bumps in 1 and 2 is what makes that such a unique set of turns there. And just 3 and 4, it gets so spread out. And restarts are chaos. They're going 3, 4, maybe even 5 wide in turn 3 on a restart. And it's a lot of action, like you said, a lot of long runs, a lot of natural progression throughout a race. And the races here have they lend themselves to a late race caution, gives you some exciting moments at the end of the race. And it would be nice to see some green flag pit stops on an oval this season because we haven't really gotten those yet. So it'd be good to see if we get some strategy game in terms of pitting under green. And going into this race, this is race number 37 at Las Vegas for the Cup Series. They started out there in 1998 with Mark Martin winning the inaugural race there. And we said this before, but Joey Logano, out of active drivers, he leads the field with 4 wins there. Then you have Brad Keselowski and Larson with 3 wins apiece. Denny Hamlin has 2 wins. And the other 3 drivers in the field this week with wins at Las Vegas are aforementioned Josh Berry last year, Kyle Busch back in 2009, and William Byron did it 3 years ago in 2023. We could mention Alex Bowman did have a win there, but again, he'll be sidelined this week with the vertigo symptoms. Hopefully, we're hoping he gets back into the car, and Justin Allgaier is in the car this week instead of Anthony Alfredo.
Yeah, on that topic of Justin Allgaier getting in the 48 car, it's been kind of I don't want to say a hot topic, but it's been definitely debated this week of why Anthony Alfredo was in the car for Phoenix and why he's now out of the car and Justin Allgaier is in. And there hasn't been a true definitive answer coming directly from Hendrick Motorsports as to why. Don't get me wrong, my biased opinion, being a Justin Allgaier fan, I love seeing that in the car, Justin get a chance in the Cup car. But it does kind of raise the question of Anthony Alfredo is doing all the sim work and everything for Hendrick Motorsports. He had the opportunity to get in the car and actually was running pretty decently before getting caught up in the wreck on the front stretch there with getting into Austin Cindric and everything like that. So a little bit puzzling choice. I'm curious if next week at Darlington, if Alex cannot get back in the car for Darlington, who the choice for the 48 car is going to be. Is it going to be Anthony Alfredo? Is it going to be Allgaier? Or is it going to be somebody completely different? At this point, I would not even rule out the possibility of Cletus McFarland getting a shot in the 48 car at this point.
Yeah, I look at it. Anthony Alfredo ran 2 races at Vegas in the Cup Series back in 2021 when he was with Front Row Motorsports. And he had finishes of 24th and 27th, which is pretty good. In that spring race that year, he actually finished ahead of Bowman in the 48. So I'm not really getting why Allgaier's in the car unless Ally really just wants him in the car, because you're not looking at Justin Allgaier being a Cup driver anymore. He's past that time in his life, his age. He's in his 40s. You're probably not looking to put him in a Cup car at Hendrick Motorsports. Anthony Alfredo on the other side, I feel like he's got upside. He always outperforms, I feel like, his equipment. And honestly, you give him a little run here and give him a chance to maybe audition to replace Bowman if that's the direction Hendrick Motorsports is looking at next year. I'm not really sure outside of Ally wanting or Allgaier in the car over Alfredo.
I'm going to come at it from a different angle here. I'm thinking that they wanted to go Allgaier the whole time, but I actually just looked it up. Bowman is 6'1", and Alfredo is 5'11", so they're fairly close. If they tried to throw Allgaier like into the, if they had that car already prepared, right, for Phoenix, this is a what if. Like, obviously, I don't work at Hendrick. This is just kind of in my brain. The Bowman and Alfredo are pretty similar builds, and it's easier to get him in there than to rework the entire interior to get Allgaier in. And now they've had a chance where they've had another cycle of car. Now that we know that he's not going to be in the car, for 2 weeks now, that now they've had a chance to adjust the interior. I don't 100%. Obviously, I don't know that. I don't know even really what it takes to adjust the interior of the car, but just, from the optics of it, it's a lot easier to adjust things from, Bowman to Alfredo than adjust things from Bowman to Allgaier, because that's a, 6-7 inch difference uh, uh, between Bowman and Allgaier.
Yeah, so and Allgaier, you look at him, is the rest of the field a little wary of Allgaier in the car? Seems like every time Allgaier's driving in the Cup Series, seems like there's always something going on. He's wrecking somehow. I mean, he
No,
had that run.
not of his
He had
own
that
doing.
run. He had that run in F5 car at Charlotte a couple years ago, which was good.
Yeah.
He had, he finished ninth in the 500 last year. But are guys a little more wary of Allgaier for what he did at Daytona, making a lazy move and kind of having slower reaction time than what he, anticipated?
If Allgaier didn't have the experience that he does, I think guys would be warranted to be a little bit more wary of it. But Justin Allgaier has been in the O'Reilly series for so long now and has so much experience that I think just his reputation from that series just automatically carries over to the Cup Series. I don't think guys have anything to be worried about. I think Allgaier is going to give it a hell of a run in the 48 car as long as outside factors don't allow him to crash or have mechanical failures, things like that. I think he'll give the 48 car a good run for sure. And I think if he does have a good run, I don't think that there's a need to pull him out of the car for Darlington if Alex can't get back in. But at the same time, I do think that it was a little bit of an unfair opportunity for Alfredo. Like I said, he was having a good run at Phoenix. I feel like as much as I love seeing Allgaier in the car, like I said, Alfredo has more to gain from this experience. Like you said, Dom, Justin Allgaier is not getting another full-time season in the Cup Series. But like you mentioned, if Alfredo goes out, proves himself really well, does that open the door for him to be considered for the 48 car? You look at Daniel Suarez with Spire. If things go south there, they might be looking for a new driver. It'd be a good opportunity for Alfredo there. It was mentioned this week that Legacy is expanding to a third car. The favorite for that seat, barring anything changing at 2311, is probably going to be Corey Heim, but there's another opportunity for Anthony Alfredo. I just feel like from an outsider's perspective that Alfredo has more to gain from this experience, and it probably should have been him in the car, but Allgaier's experience just in general will carry that car to a good finish, hopefully.
Part of the reason too that they could have put Allgaier in over Alfredo is just because Allgaier does have the Cup experience, and I say that because the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports still has the chance to make the top 16 in the owner standings. So they probably want to have the most competitive driver that they know step in the wheel. Unlike Allgaier, when he stepped in the five was already locked in, to the playoffs. But this year with the chase and how far down the 48 is, they might just put their trust and their eggs a little bit more in Justin Allgaier's basket over an Anthony Alfredo, just because Alfredo hasn't had the seat time. Because at the end of the day, the owner's points is what's most important for those teams to be able to provide for the next season and the season after that. So I think Allgaier in this race will be, he's got to be careful, but he's going to have a different approach to that Coke 600 he raced in for Kyle Larson, just because he's got to be on the gas a little bit heavier.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that aspect of it. If the 48 car makes the chase, then we got to do two separate standings again in the chase. One, focusing on the 48, but that's a topic for way down the line. And when we talk about Darlington and who should drive, I am very excited to talk about Darlington, but that's all next week. Because just from the comments that Denny Hamlin and Chase Briscoe have said, saying that there's going to be they're expecting 4 or 5 seconds of fall off. And Chase Briscoe said running the sim, he can't even run one lap without spinning. So that is going to be a show for sure. What kind of show? A good show or a shit show? We don't know yet, but It'll be a show for sure. And it just shows the progress they're making now with this next gen car, getting rid of the complex diffuser, adding horsepower. NASCAR's finally listened to everyone, and wouldn't you know, it's working. Wow, what a concept. All right,
Round of
so
applause. Round of applause for everybody. It's crazy once you like listen to a whole bunch of people and you actually try something and it actually works. It's crazy how that works.
all right, so Vegas should expect some good racing, hopefully some green flag pit stops. Let's jump into some segments here, and we'll start it off with Wesley's Wayback moment.
I wanted to take us back to 2008, which definitely has to be one of the hardest moments for I think all of us as Gordon fans. But overall, 2008, I think that race was a solid one. You had pretty much six competitors throughout the whole day that were up front. It was Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth. I think those two were the fastest in the first half, and then Carl Edwards and Dale Earnhardt Jr. were definitely the fastest in the second half. Greg Biffle was up there for a majority of the day. And then he had a couple other guys like Kevin Harvick and a few others mixed in, but it was uh it was strange too because that was a race where you had a lot of guys like the Haas drivers were at that time. It's crazy to think were Jeremy Mayfield and Scott Riggs, but those two put up probably the best last performances, that were solid of their Cup Series careers, and they were top 15 cars, top 10 pretty much all day. I think Scott Riggs was running like sixth, seventh, eighth. He was right up there and never fill out. And then Jeremy Mayfield was right there too, but I don't remember what happened. It was a race that had a lot of tire failure. I think aside from that Jeff Gordon incident, it seemed like pretty much every caution was just tires. And so many talk about that wreck that happened on the backstretch with Gordon and Kenseth, but the Tony Stewart and the Kurt Busch wrecks were both tire failures in between turn 3 and turn 4 and were horrific. Stewart said he was so sore after that wreck, and I think Kurt Busch said the same thing. And it's lucky that they didn't get hurt, because their impact was so significant into the outside wall. But yes, other strange guys. Ken Schrader climbed up through the field, was running top 15 the majority of that race. You had guys, I think Dale Jarrett, it was one of his last races, and I think it was his last DNF of his career, but he crashed out late. But he had a good qualifying run. Mike Skinner, I think he was in the 27 car, and for him, that was one of his last good runs, one of the last top, performance runs of his career. He qualified top 10 and stayed top 15, top 20 majority of the day. But yeah, tire failures were a big storyline. But that Jeff Gordon wreck, I feel like, is the most memorable moment where I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. got a bad restart there late. Gordon and Kenseth faded back. And then coming off turn 2, Jeff Gordon got tight on the bottom, washed up into Matt Kenseth. They both spun out. Gordon trying to avoid Kenseth, hit the inside wall. I guess at that time it was pure concrete. They didn't have a safer barrier down there, which is crazy to think of. And thank goodness we have it now. But at that time, it was unfortunate because a lot of people pinpoint that moment as the turning point of Jeff Gordon's career, where just it seemed like his performance overall took a big dip after that race. A lot of wrecks like Dale Jarrett at Kansas in 2001, Ryan Newman, his Daytona crash. You can pinpoint moments of a driver's career. Jimmy Johnson at Pocono. But Jeff Gordon, it seemed like that Las Vegas wreck is kind of where things kind of shifted. And we saw he never won a race that year. And it seemed like overall his performance just kind of declined from that point on. But yeah, Carl Edwards won. It was just a solid Vegas race overall. Not a whole lot of highlights, not a lot of incredible racing because we did have some long green flag runs, but also some cautions with the Goodyear. Goodyear was a big issue at that time, and it turned out, not long after that, just a few months, we had the horrendous Indianapolis race. So it's I think that Vegas race might have been kind of the indication that things for tire failures weren't going to be good that year. But it was a good win for Carl Edwards, and just shout out again to Greg Biffle. I think he finished third in that race. A shame we lost him, but it was a solid race overall.
With that crash for Gordon, that's one of those like conspiracy theory ones where people think there's footage that's like hidden or just completely like disposed of, burned footage. It's the in-car cam for Gordon on the impact, because they never showed the impact on the in-car. They
I think
showed
the rumor was he like hit his head.
Yeah, they're saying like his body like shook, his head like went crazy on the impact. Because when you watch the onboard, because I posted it on our page for our Throwback Thursday moment, and you see like it starts with out the back, then it goes in the in car, you could see Gordon, and then it goes to the nose, and then it goes just back to the rear of the car, looking back when he makes impact with the wall. But you don't see Gordon's actual body, and there's been no footage of that, which clearly they have, because if they have the camera there, they have footage of it. And that's just never been released. It's one of those where it's like the Elliott Sadler Michigan practice crash, or the Elliott Sadler Pocono crash, where you like there's this like missing footage, and it's just like one of the top ones is that Gordon in-car cam on that impact.
Yeah, and just the destruction from the race car itself. The thing that I remember most from that crash is the radiator just getting launched across the track after the car. I mean, we remember, like you brought up Elliott Sadler's Pocono crash. The engine block itself was like had to have been hanging on by a thread, but the radiator certainly that was one of the first things to impact, and that thing got launched from the car. Yeah, definitely a horrible angle, and like Wes mentioned, no safer barriers at that time, and thankfully major safety improvements have been done to hopefully prevent a vicious wreck from that happening again in that capacity of damage.
During that era, if there was no safer barrier, that 24 car was gonna find it.
Yeah, found it. I mean, we could have brought it up at Atlanta a few weeks ago. That one crash from his final full-time year, found that one spot on the backstretch where there was no safer barrier and just hit it driver's side door.
And same with Richmond. Richmond going into turn 3 slammed a driver's side door, and even Dover in qualifying in 2009. The car snapped, he overcorrected, and slammed the outside wall with no safer barrier. So just, yeah, there was no safer barrier. That 24 car, unfortunately, was going to find it. And now we'll go to Steve Stumps the Field.
All right. Well, forgive me if my mic cuts out for a second. I'm still coughing and nobody wants to listen to that. So if I mute myself for a second, just bear with me for 1 second. Well, going over Las Vegas, there hasn't been a ton of history at the track, just over not even quite 30 years of history yet at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So there's some questions. I'm going to leave it. They're not multiple choice. I'm just going to throw the question out there, and whoever has the answer, go ahead and shout it out first. I have just a handful of questions here. Some of them we've already talked about, so they might come pretty easy. But our first one, if everybody is ready, there has been one driver in Las Vegas Motor Speedway history to get his first career win at the track. Who is it, and what year was it?
Josh Berry last year.
Correct. Josh Berry is
I knew that too.
only first-time winner in Las Vegas Motor Speedway history. So one on the board for Dom. All right. Question number 2. Who is the only driver in Las Vegas Motor Speedway history to win 3 straight Cup races at the track?
Guess I'll guess Jimmy Johnson.
Put one on the board for Wes. It is Jimmy Johnson.
Say Jimmy. I was going to say
Could
Jimmy.
have just thrown a dart at the best guy that I've ever watched race in a car. And
yeah. I have no extra credit points, but Wes, can you name the years that he did it?
Oh gosh. Well, not 2008. I'll say 9, 10, 11.
No, I think it's 05, 06, 07.
05, 06, 07. 06 is the memorable year where
Kenseth.
him and Kenseth went at it, and they had a photo finish with Johnson winning the second of his 3 straight. But yes, point for Wes for Jimmie Johnson, the only driver in Las Vegas history to win 3 straight races. Question number 3. Although Dodge no longer races in the Cup Series as of 2026, they do have one Cup win in Las Vegas Motor Speedway history. Who is that driver?
I'm going to go Casey Kane.
Casey Kane. Although 2006 was a career year for Kane, Las Vegas was not one of those wins.
Do I get to guess again, or am I just...
You can, yeah.
Was it Ryan Newman?
It was not Ryan Newman.
Rusty Wallace.
It was not Rusty Wallace.
Kurt Busch.
It was not Kurt Busch.
Oh, maybe
You're
Brad.
all very. It was also not Brad. You're all very close around there. I'll say this: it is not a Penske driver.
Tony Stewart.
Not Tony Stewart.
Oh, I remember they raced Dodge. That might have been later, so I don't know.
Who? Oh my God.
I'll tap out. I'll let y'all guess.
Wasn't Jeremy Mayfield?
It was not Jeremy Mayfield. All right, here's a hint. Benny Parsons said, "You can't do that." When the race was
Sterling.
It was Sterling Marlin.
2002.
Yes, 2002. Although that race where Benny Parsons said you can't do that was in the Daytona 500, a few races later in 2002, Sterling Marlin got redemption from the Daytona 500 blunder where he got out of the car under the red flag, and he got Dodge's to date only Cup win at Las Vegas. Sterling Marlin in 2002.
NASCAR gave that one to him. If people don't remember, Sterling Marlin in that race, he actually got wrecked, I think, on the pit road. I can't remember who wrecked him, but then he sped trying to enter, and he got a speeding penalty, but apparently whoever the official was didn't get down to the pit crew in time, and they just were like, you know what, we won't give you a penalty now since you didn't get there in time, whatever that means. So then Sterling went on to win the race. So that had controversy too, and a lot of people thought that was NASCAR's kind of way of forgiving Sterling for the Daytona, just to alleviate some of the pain.
All right, and our final driver. 2 drivers have tied for the most wins at Las Vegas Motor Speedway with 4 career wins. Who are they?
Joey Logano's one. He beat me.
I'm staring at it right here on the notes. Who would be 2? Jimmie Johnson.
There you go. Put one up on the board.
I needed that. I needed that for pride. I couldn't go no points. I'm not going to win it, but I couldn't go no points.
Well, that was the 4 questions I come up with. Fun fact: this I didn't have on there. This one will be for Sam. In 2017, after the race, Kyle Busch came over and punched this driver in the face. Was Joey Logano. Very deserved at that. I will add to that. All right, well, put another point up on the board for Dom for Steve Stumps the Field Trivia Week.
I'll join Joey and Jimmy with 4, getting number 4 at Vegas.
4 wins on the season already for Dom. West with 1. Sam still chasing his first win of the trivia for the season. So we'll be back again for more trivia for Darlington next weekend. There'll be much more history at Darlington to go off of.
Yeah, that's not what Sam wants to hear.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for me. I needed to pick one up on this one. This was all,
post 2000.
Pretty much, yeah. So I don't know, man. I got to figure it out. I got to get locked in. It's a long season though. It's a long season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm just, turtle and hair, baby. All the metaphors I could use here.
Yeah. I will say, just doing some research, this is just another fun fact that I found doing research for Vegas. Roush won the first 3 races at Vegas too, with Mark Martin winning the first one and then Jeff Burton winning the next 2 before Gordon won his first at Vegas in 01. So that was just a fun fact to what I found.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, underdog drivers of the week. We're starting off with Riley Herbst. And before you call me crazy, in 2 races there last year, he finished 17th and 19th. And Riley has looked better this season. He's looked more competitive. At Phoenix, he was solidly up there in the top 20 for a majority of the race. So I think with that combination of being better this year and the success he had last year, it was his best track last year. It's his home track. He kicked everyone's ass one time in the O'Reilly series at Vegas. So, you know what? Don't be surprised if Riley Herbst finishes in the top 15 this week.
Well, I will go my underdog of the week. I'm going to go with Ryan Preece in the 60 car. In the spring race last year at Las Vegas, he finished 3rd. And in the fall race, he also ended up with a top 10, finishing 9th. So a good track for Ryan Preece. The Roush Fords tend to race pretty well on the 1.5-mile tracks. So my underdog of the week is going to be Ryan Preece.
And that leads it over to me. Actually, Riley Herbst is a good pick. I have him in I'm in Grid Rivals League, where we only have a certain amount of money to work with for like our hypothetical money to work with to add drivers and everything. And he was kind of my budget pick. He was like, you get like 100 million for a week, and he was like my 10 million pick or something. Because I think that Riley's shown that, I mean, he's at least not, he doesn't seem as bad this year as last year. So and he's good at he's shown some stuff at Las Vegas. But my pick for underdog is going to be Daniel Suarez. Since 2023, he in 6 starts he has not finished outside the top 20. He has 3 top 10s and 2 top 5s. Obviously, don't have a win, but I think that he does well at Las Vegas, and judging by my fantasy picks, going by the numbers, and my picks is treated me pretty well. So I think that Daniel Suarez will be a pretty good sleeper this weekend.
And he may not be an underdog in the betting odds, but I've got to say Josh Berry. Just with overall performance last year, I think a lot of people would overlook him despite even winning the spring race last year. But for Barry, this is definitely one of his strongest racetracks, especially with a long green flag run, with tire wear being more significant. And then obviously with Penske, this has usually been Joey Logano's home. Blaney sometimes has good speed here. And then Austin Cindric last year had a really good chance to win this race. Barry's a 2-time winner in the O'Reilly series. Dom, we saw the 1 win back in 2021, and then he ended up following it up the next year. So I think Josh Berry's still going to be a guy to watch at Las Vegas.
All right. So our underdog picks this week, I got Riley Herbst. Steve has Ryan Preece. Sam has Daniel Suarez, and Wes has Josh Berry. And with that, that'll take us to Makin Money with Marchesi.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Making Money with Marchesi. And unfortunately, we haven't made so much money this year. But I will say the Phoenix parlay, if any of you were paying attention, really close. And I feel like if Briscoe, he had a top 5 car, never mind top 10. If Briscoe doesn't blow that tire out, I feel like we made money last week. But I got a new one for you guys. We got Las Vegas this weekend. And I've been consistent with the 2 top 10 finishers, a top 5, and a winner. So I think we're going to stick on that route. It seems like a fun route to do. And it seems like after last week, we're getting closer and closer. So without a doubt, here we go. We got 2 top 10 finishers. I'm going with a Hendrick guy and a guy that is a past winner. I got Chase Elliott. I feel like Hendrick usually dominates the spring Vegas race. and I feel like Chase Elliott always has some type of speed here. But I think, especially after a really rough Phoenix race, I think that team is looking for a really solid finish. So maybe not top 5, but a top 10 for Chase Elliott. And then the other one, Josh Berry, former winner, last year's spring winner, 2 Xfinity or O'Reilly wins now at Las Vegas, and only Cup win at Las Vegas. So that team has also had a really rough start. That team has been involved in everything. I know the 500, they were the only car that didn't have any wrecks. Like, they weren't involved in any wrecks. But besides that, the last 3 races were awful for them. They need a good race. So I like them. We got 2 more, right? Top 5 in the winner. Top 5, give me Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain is a proven guy, I feel like, at Las Vegas. He usually runs up front. He doesn't have a win there. At least in the Cup Series. He got his first career O'Reilly Series win there, back when he was driving the Ganassi stuff. But, he always runs up front. I looked at the lap leaders since in the next gen era there. He's up there. Why not give Ross Chastain a top 5 finish? Especially he's had the last couple bad few weeks, I should say. I know Coda, his wheel fell off, and then last week Joey Logano happened. So, give me Ross Chastain top 5. But then winner, why not Kyle Larson? I feel like I even saw a Twitter post or X post about this saying this week just smells of Kyle Larson. I mean, that's probably not the right wording, but I don't know. I feel like with the Vegas dominance and like I said, in the spring races in Vegas, I think a really good chance of a Hendrick guy winning it again, but I think it's going to be Larson, multiple time Vegas winner. And it was a tough battle between him and Byron, but I think Larson's going to do it. So those are my 4 picks. I think they're really solid picks, and they're going to be right above me. So give it your best shot. Let me know what happens, and hopefully we're one step closer this week, and you can make some money with Marchesi.
All right, thanks, Anthony. Hope you guys are getting some good advice from Anthony. Even if you're not fully tailing his bets, you're kind of getting your start when you're looking at the bet sheet, that you're starting with Anthony's advice. Last week, I think he almost would have hit if Chase Briscoe would have not had that tire go down. If Briscoe was in the top 10, I think his parlay would have hit. So I'm telling you, he's right on the door. He's knocking on the door for hitting a big parlay. And you don't want to be the one that isn't tailing it when it does hit, because that'll feel really bad if you sit out the 1 week Anthony gets it done in the parlay. And so that'll take us into our fantasy draft. Going into this week, Sam still has a commanding lead with 386 points. He is 52 points or 48 points ahead of Wes with 338. And then he is, 97 points still up on me with 289. And Steve in the doghouse, big time now, sitting 150 points out of the lead, Steve. Oh my goodness.
It's all right. Hey, only way up from the bottom is by going up. And we went further down this last week, because I'm pretty sure I said the same thing last week. So you know what? Sometimes you just got to hit rock bottom before you start making your way up.
Say we're a ninth of the way through the season, so things got to change for Steve. But you don't get to pick first this week. That honor gets to go to Wes.
All right. I'll take let's start with Christopher Bell. Get him off the board.
Thank you, Wes. You took him right out from under me, because that's who I was going to drop in there. Well, I will take his teammate then. I will go with Dennis Hamlin, the defending winner at Vegas.
And that leads over to me. Let me just double check. I didn't pick him last week.
He's leading the points and then just falls in his lap again. This is unbelievable.
I'm going to pick Kyle Larson.
Holy smokes.
4.3 average finish since 2023, by the way. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh my goodness gracious. Um, yep, can't even pick him. Yep, can't even pick William Byron. Um, wow, this went south really quick. Guess I'm gonna go. Man, can I pick him? You know what? I'll go Chase Briscoe. Things got to change, and he was the fastest car overall, I think, in the spring or in the fall race. And then I'll go with. I guess you got to go the all. No, no, I'm going Reddick. Nope, going Reddick. Reddick is super fast here. He's arguably should have won a couple here.
I've got two trains of thought that I'm on. One was the one you were about to go on, Dom, and then the other one is I can put all my eggs in the Hendrick basket. Either one, I won't be able to get them the next time around because I'm assuming one of these two will take it. Um, I I kind of want to diversify my portfolio, so I'm gonna go with Joey Logano.
Thank you for diversifying because I will also diversify and take your other route. I'll go Willie B in the 24 car.
It's a tricky spot. A lot of big names off the board. Let's see. I'm trying to think of who I could really pick. I mean, I've got the next two, so let's go for the first pick. First pick, I'm gonna go with I'll risk it. I'll take Ryan Blaney. He'll either finish top 5 or wreck out. And then for the other pick, ooh, yeah, now we're taking a dip. Man, I don't know about this last one. I'll take Carson Hocevar.
I will end my picks this week with Bubba Wallace.
Okay, that made my decision for me because I was going to go with one of the 2311 cars. Excuse me. One of the top two 2311 cars of the three. There are three. I respect them this week, Dom. I was trying to decide what between my heart and Bubba, even though I mean he's had obviously a really good start to the season. He's hit third points, or my head and Reddick, because Reddick has been on fire and he's got a 14th average finish, which is 11th, kind of one of the best ones we have left. So I'm gonna go with Tyler Reddick here.
No, he is unfortunately taken.
Reddick? Oh, he was. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not gonna go Herbst then. Look at that whole spiel. Actually, Riley Herbst has a 18th best average finish. Never mind. Let's go. You know what? Brad's been good here in the next gen. Has he been taken off yet?
Nope.
Okay, good. Yeah, I see. I have to cross-reference two things. I'm gonna go Brad Keselowski.
All right, good. I thought you were going to pivot to this guy, and I'm taking Ross Chastain.
Yeah,
Great
see,
numbers here.
that's the one I knew I couldn't take because he was the guy that was the lowest scorer on mine. He got 10 points. For
Oh,
the
yeah,
last
I
one,
didn't
so.
realize that.
Yeah,
so I
you
was
were
worried
good
for
as soon as
nothing.
it cleared Steve.
Yeah. All right. So to recap, with the points lead, Sam, his team this week, going Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, and Brad Keselowski. Wes, second in the points, going with Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, and Carson Hocevar. Myself in third in the standings, going Chase Briscoe, Tyler Reddick, and Ross Chastain. And rounding out the field, Steve will go with Denny Hamlin, William Byron, and Bubba Wallace. All right. Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Hopefully a good race. We've had a good start to the season. Great racing overall. My final thought here is I think, will Denny Hamlin show back up? Could he get win number 61 where he, going back to the site of his 60th career win? Could he do it? Or will this be the emergence of Ty Gibbs? We didn't talk about Ty Gibbs at all. I think the momentum's high with that 54 team. He's got the AM PM car. I don't know if he's running it this week. He should. They're out west, and that's where that brand is, and that's where they got their win in the fall. But I would say keep an eye out for Ty Gibbs as well.
The thing that I'll be looking for, seems like with Vegas, the Gibbs cars are very good there. Then the Hendrick cars are very good there. Sprinkle in the 2311 cars, the Penske cars. Like there is no clear dominant favorite for the spring race at Vegas historically. So it's going to be interesting to see what team and what manufacturer shows up this weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking at obviously Kyle Larson. I haven't looked at the odds. Probably the odds-on favorite, if not, top three. Because you look at his average finish, he's always up there at Las Vegas. It's going to be kind of who's battling with him. Like Steve said, it's a diverse field of who could be up there. Between you got Logano, basically all these guys that we picked, I could definitely see being up there. And if they show up and they're on, they're on. Gonna be looking for Chase Briscoe to try and bounce back because Jesus Christ, can you start worse in a season than that guy has? And like it really hasn't been his fault. So that's kind of the storyline that I'm looking at right now. Is he's got to start now if he's going to try and climb back into that top 16, or he's not getting there. So now is as good as time as any. So I'm looking for that 19, following that storyline throughout the day.
Wes, any final thoughts?
Just looking forward to Vegas. I feel like we're heading to our first, real test, first mile and a half. And I think we're going to finally see really some true contenders come out as who's going to be the threat to win the regular season, because the regular season is kind of the critical goal for a lot of these guys at the top. So you look at the point standings: Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott, SVG. SVG is going to be a guy to watch. He's fifth right now in the points. He's a guy that we talked about maybe not making the top 16. But it's for him, it's, after that Kansas race last year and running better on the mile and a half. So I feel like he's going to be exciting to watch just to see how the improvement is shaped up and see how he's able to hold that fifth place spot in points. Where is he going to be after this race? And then if you got other guys to watch out for, like the Spire guys right now, they're running really well. Suarez was running good at Phoenix, was running top 15, I think, most of the race, but then ended up having that wreck. So what kind of pressure do these guys on the hot seat have for a mile and a half, and how will the whole field also race, knowing that this is a chase and not a playoff format, right? So I feel like the race could play out a little bit differently. Some people being more cautious, while some being a little bit more aggressive earlier on.
Absolutely. So excited for Vegas. It's Sunday, 4 o'clock. Make sure you're tuning in. We sure will. We'll be back either Sunday night or Monday night to talk all about it. And so for Wes, Sam, Steve, I'm Dom, and we'll see you after Las Vegas.